Dr. Richard Nongard here, and I'm the co-author of the book, Counseling People Who've Killed Other People. Now, stay with me for a bit, and I'll tell you exactly why Colonel Fitz killed Lester Burnham in the movie American Beauty, and how, if it had been a real person, experiential therapies and hypnotherapy could have changed the ending. Now, change in therapy can come in two ways. First, we can create incremental change. And this is a lot like learning how to play the saxophone or how to build a website. It's sequential learning. It assumes that each learning builds on the next. Bandura called these mastery experiences. And the brain science of this type of learning is called experience-dependent neuroplasticity. In this type of change, small changes are made over time, and they build on each other to create a much larger impact. This approach can be particularly effective for individuals who struggle with making big changes all at once. An example might be an alcoholic from a multi-generational substance-abusing family who has to learn new behaviors in response to emotional triggers or new strategies for social interaction, including assertive communication and how to say no to alcohol. This type of learning happens because in the brain, our experiences shape the connections between neurons. Repeated behavior thoughts create stronger connections, while neglected ones weaken and eventually disappear. What this means is that by continually practicing new behaviors or thought patterns, we can change the structure of our brain to support these changes. And hypnosis is a strategy to teach incremental change through therapeutic relaxation practice, autogenic training, experiential somatic practices. In addition to creating incremental change, therapy can also facilitate what's called transformational change. This type of change involves a fundamental shift in perspectives and often leads to a profound transformation in an individual's life. Transformational change allows individuals to let go of old belief patterns that no longer serve them and open themselves up to new possibilities for living. You can think of this as what happens when someone makes a dramatic change after a religious conversion or a near-death experience, or why intensive inpatient programs or even a weekend meditation retreat can produce significant results in a short time. The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous quotes psychologist William James, who refers to this as a vital spiritual experience. And these can be accomplished through experiential therapies, such as Gestalt therapy, coherent psychology, hypnotherapy, somatic therapies, and even mindfulness-based therapies. Every one of these approaches integrates well into the practice of professional hypnosis. But here's the best part. Today, we have brain science-informed therapies. We understand that simply thinking or feeling differently doesn't elicit long-term change. Rather, we change both the functional and structural roles of the brain through practice, through repetition, in order to see real transformation. This is actually the big drawback with cognitive behavioral approaches, or even direct suggestion and hypnosis. They're focused on changing thoughts and behaviors without addressing the underlying neural networks that support them. This is where a more holistic approach, such as somatic therapies and other experiential therapies, come in. With the advancements that we've had in neuroscience and technology, we're actually able to tailor experiential treatments to an individual's specific needs and goals. This allows for a more efficient and more effective therapeutic process. And so let's turn our attention now to a hypothetical case and apply some of these learnings. Did you see the 1999 movie American Beauty? The controlling father, Colonel Fitz, sees out-of-context images on his son's camera and misconstrues his son as having a gay love affair with the neighbor, Lester Burnham. In the movie's ending, Colonel Fitz, who's repressed his own homosexual desire behind a facade of the tough Marine veteran, makes a move and kisses Lester. Lester is confused, rejects him, and this leads Colonel Fitz to go back and kill the neighbor, Lester Burnham. Now let's take this tragic fictional story and imagine, rather than the tragic ending in the movie, Colonel Fitz had sought therapy. Perhaps through an IFS-based hypnotherapy approach, he could have become more aware of his own shadow self and work through integrating the hidden parts of his personality in a safe and supportive environment. Or maybe through experiential Jungian approaches, he could have accessed deeper parts of his subconscious mind and addressed the root cause of his aggressive behavior, hidden in his shadow self. Now, how does this relate to incremental or transformational change and neuroplasticity? This hypothetical scenario highlights the potential for therapy to bring about transformative changes in individuals. By addressing underlying issues and bringing them into the conscious awareness, therapy can help individuals break free from patterns of behavior and thought that might be limiting their personal growth and causing them harm both to themselves and to others. Neuroplasticity, or our brain's ability to reorganize and form neural connections, it plays a crucial role in this process. Through therapeutic interventions, such as hypnotherapy or other experiential approaches, people can tap into their brain's plasticity to create lasting changes rather than just making small temporary adjustments. This type of therapy can also help individuals develop greater self-awareness and understanding of their own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And this increased self-awareness, it can lead to a shift in perspective and a deeper connection with one's true self. Carl Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll direct your life and you will call it fate." In the case of Colonel Fitz from American Beauty, seeking therapy could have potentially saved not only his own life, but also the lives of others. By addressing his repressed desires and working through his shadow self, he could have found inner peace and acceptance rather than resorting to violence. This powerful message highlights the transformative potential of therapy and the importance of addressing underlying issues rather than just superficial symptoms. Colonel Fitz was not colored just by his emotions, repressions, and experiences. Brain science tells us likely his brain structure had also been altered by his experiences. In therapy, he could have learned how to rewire and restructure his brain in a healthier way, leading to a more fulfilling and peaceful life. And both incremental as well as transformational change learning strategies could have helped him make these lasting changes. If Colonel Fitz had come to me for therapy, the assessment might have included an evaluation of how his PTSD, how his life experiences, and the unconscious mind might have influenced his brain structure. Imaging studies of those with PTSD show that changes in the brain occur, including disrupted neural pathways and a smaller prefrontal cortex. However, these same studies show that with proper intervention, these changes can be reversed or at least mitigated. In addition to the transformative potential for the individual, these types of therapies can have a ripple effect on society as a whole. We often hear the phrase, change your thoughts, change your life. But it's not always as simple as just changing your thoughts. Colonel Fitz's problems were deep-seated. The belief that just medication or CBT could have helped him heal would be oversimplifying the complex nature of his issues. With a combination of experiential therapeutic approaches and techniques, Colonel Fitz could have had a chance at healing and finding peace within himself and literally changed his brain. The entire ending of the movie could have been rewired for a completely different conclusion. In an alternative ending that was considered in the writing of the screenplay, the murder was potentially going to be that Colonel Fitz was seeking to kill Lester and set his son up for the murder. This is an interesting twist, and that the Colonel's motivation would be to eliminate anyone that could potentially expose his true self rather than just a homophobic rage. This adds another layer of complexity to Colonel Fitz's character and the potential for therapy to have helped him find peace and acceptance within himself before the tragic ending. But of course, had Colonel Fitz sought therapy, the movie would have been far less interesting. It would have ended with Lester and the Colonel barbecuing together and being friends without destroying the two families. And while this is just a fictional story, it highlights the reasons the tragedy often happens. Our brains are hardwired to protect us at all costs, even at the expense of happiness and hurting others. Colonel Fitz killed himself to protect himself, It also highlights the powerful nature of the underlying biology of PTSD that can literally remove free will in the moment of emotional crisis. A case could be made that Colonel Fitz could have made no other choices because he never learned incremental truths about himself and how to deal with them. His struggle wasn't just with his emotions, but with his brain wiring, and his unaddressed psychological suffering created a ticking time bomb that was not just emotional, but brain hardwired as well. Had he sought therapeutic support, the opportunity to rewire those connections and find a more fulfilling life might have happened. Experiential therapies and experiential hypnotherapy could have produced what Carl Rogers called aha experiences, where a sudden reorganization of ideas demands that the brain creates new associations at the deepest level while rejecting previously deep-seated ideas. These kinds of therapies can be life-changing and lead to long-lasting positive changes. It's been said that if a person can develop a phobia instantly, for example, in response to a dog biting them in their early years, that change can take place instantly. And the research actually does support this type of rapid transformation, but only if the proper conditions are present. And therapists who specialize in trauma utilize different modalities of therapies to create these changes in a safe, supportive environment using evidence-based approaches. They work collaboratively with clients to uncover their deepest issues and help them heal. It's not easy work, but it's possible. And the story of Colonel Fitz serves as a reminder that change is always within reach, even in the most challenging situations. So while we might not all be struggling with the same issues as Colonel Fitz, we can all benefit from understanding how our brains work and understanding how experiential therapies can help us to find inner peace. It's never too late to make positive changes in your lives and to create a brighter future for yourself. The script, the ending, can be rewritten. No matter how deep-seated or complex our problems may seem, with determination, support, perseverance, change is possible. But this doesn't mean that therapy is a magic cure-all to all of life's problems. It takes hard work, commitment, and vulnerability. But seeking help through a qualified therapist or a hypnosis practitioner can actually engage one in the process of finding healing and creating the life that they desire. So let's not be afraid to reach out for help when we need it. Colonel Fitz's story can be an inspiration to never give up on ourselves. It can be an inspiration to help us create a better future for ourselves and for those around us. And remember, there's always hope for a brighter tomorrow with the right support and determination. Never let fear hold you back from living your best life. You deserve it. So keep moving forward. Like, subscribe, and share my video if you want me to make more videos teaching hypnosis, psychology, and personal development using fictional characters as an example we can all relate to.